Welcome to episode 77 of the World Builders Anvil. As always, I'm your host, Jeffrey W. Ingram, and today's topic is, it's 111 Fallout 4. Don't know where to start building your fantasy world? Do you need more? Does it make sense? Forget any worries and become a crafter of imagination. This is the place that will help prime your mind. Now, it's time to heat up the forge, break out the mithril ingots and hammer. Welcome to the World Builders Anvil. I'm your host, Jeffrey W. Ingram. Let's sup from the mug of Java and build. Okay, now I don't have a lot to talk about this from the sense of a world builder. There's not much out yet, but it's something around the corner, and I like to talk about that sometimes too, especially when it's something that really excites me. Probably the only other video game that's going to really excite me might be the Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls. I really have to look at Wasteland because I know that was a derivative that sort of Fallout came from, and now they've relaunched on PC. Hopefully that will come out on platforms soon as well too. But let's talk a little bit about Fallout 4, and I've talked before about the world of Fallout as it was set sort of all over the place in the first three installments and Fallout New Vegas, which wasn't really a new installment. It was really Fallout 3 in a different setting, but it was also done by a slightly different company. I believe it was Obsidian who did Fallout New Vegas, and it was a fun game as well too. But this time, it has been moved. And I know this because I've seen the new official trailer. If you've not seen the new official trailer, go to my show notes page. I will have a link to the trailer up there, and check out the trailer. It is wonderful. And from the trailer, I know it is set in Boston and possibly more. Now, being from New England, this excites me. Boston's a great town to get lost in, so it should be an awesome game for a post-nuclear apocalyptic world. I really don't know much if it's going to be set closer to the nuclear war or further away. I've heard arguments both ways from people who are much smarter than me about predicting what's in video games. I'm not going to try and predict what's in it. However, there are a few things I sort of came away from. One, Hanover Street better be rocky. Now, if you're ever in Boston and you want good Italian food, where do you go? A street that has a German name, Hanover. I think it might be per capita one of the heaviest restaurant areas in the world, probably definitely in the U.S., because literally that street is restaurant, restaurant, restaurant. Pick one. It's good. If it's been open for more than a year, it would be out of business by now if it was not because of all of the competition. Wonderful Italian food on that street. Now, in the bigger scope, and this is always a scope when it comes to the question of Massachusetts. What else made it into the game land-wise? Now, from watching the trailer, you see there's some definitely wasteland areas. Obviously not Boston. Not a lot of trees in Southie, outside of possibly parks. If you're down at the aquarium, maybe a mutant whale, that would be kind of cool. But all that aside is there are some different areas. One, Springfield. That's kind of near where I live. I live in Connecticut, just down the road. Hartford, Springfield, same town. I'm not from Connecticut or Massachusetts originally. You can probably tell, because if I was from the Hartford area or the Springfield area, I probably would not consider it the same area. Hartford, Springfield, same area. Don't let anyone fool you. Same basic people, same basic culture. Western Mass and Northern Connecticut are probably closer aligned than Western Mass and Eastern Mass. Now, what about the Cape? The Cape's probably in there. If it's Massachusetts, the Cape is probably in there. And it has to be because it's the Cape. Now, I'm thinking the Cape will be nuked to crap. That's just my prediction. If there's one area that will probably be Eastern Mass and Southern Mass, I don't know what the scope of the game is going to be, if it'll go as far out as Western Mass or not. So Springfield, I don't know. But the Cape, probably going to be in the game. The other question is, what about the islands? When I say the islands, I have two specific in mind. If you're not from New England, you might not know that they're part of Massachusetts. It is Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. And they're two big vacation spots for typically very wealthy people. presidents, as long as I can remember, went or go to Martha's Vineyard, probably at least since JFK. Maybe even before JFK. I don't know. I'm not nearly that old. But it'd be interesting to see, are those 2 islands and what happened to those islands? It'd be interesting to know. Now, beyond the scope of Massachusetts itself, Boston's not too far from New Hampshire. So it'd be interesting if the Free State Project can finally take over in a post-nuclear holocaust. And at least what does Bethesda think that looks like? I seriously doubt if it's going to be a free state of New Hampshire. Maybe they'll be ironic and make it a totalitarian state, because New Hampshire is definitely a very free-minded state, as is Vermont, just in different ways. But New Hampshire is your live free or die state. Want to see what happens with New Hampshire. Hope it's going to be in this game. Probably going to be in this game. And what about vacation land? Do people still use vacation land? That is what Maine calls itself. I find it humorous. I wouldn't personally call my state that, but hey, I don't live in Maine. Maine is a really good place to visit. All along the coast, a lot of great spots. Go late in the summer if you want warmer water. It's a cold place, but the shoreline, the rocky shoreline, is gorgeous. The puffins, if you ask my wife, she'll say, are much better than penguins, and they can still fly. How cool is that? Now, one of the things I'm wondering is there going to be a new mutant race? There's always been a relatively small amount of races in the Fallout universe. You kind of have super mutants, which you learn a lot about in Fallout 3. You have ghouls. Some are feral, some are not, and they're essentially just very heavily irradiated humans. And you have humans. Will there be any other new mutant races that sort of come out in this version of Fallout? Or possibly robotic ones. And if you know what I'm talking about, you've been playing Fallout. Now, what kind of iBots will be around? Now, iBots are something that definitely in Fallout 3 was a big thing, where they're floating through this town. This group called the Enclave, a faction, uses them to spy on people. And I saw one of theirs in a trailer. I'm assuming it's one of theirs. But what's the faction situation going to be? There's probably going to be the Institute. I don't know about Brotherhood of Steel. I do not know about the Enclave. What kind of faction base? There's nothing on yet. But it'll be interesting. Hopefully they'll expand out the faction base of the post-nuclear a post-nuclear blown up, we'll say, world in Fallout. And there are some other things, you have the New California Republic, probably not going to be in Massachusetts. Now, beyond factions, there's one bit that really caught my eye, and that was a wooden power ship, and someone I was watching said was the USS Constitution, big effing jet engines stuck on the back of it. That looked cool, and New England has this huge heritage of wooden ships, the old American clipper ship, the old whaling ships. I'm sure betting the whales are hoping that the new jet power ones aren't for hunting them, unless they're more nasty than they were after the war. But it was just this great visual image of this old wooden ship with like these super ultra high tech engines stuck on the back of them. Looks like a flying ship of some kind. Be interesting to see if that is from before or after the war and how that ship is being used. Maybe the U.S. was in big trouble and they were outfitting old wooden ships with engines to fight China, who you are led to believe was the person we were at war with when the nuclear holocaust happened. And now, the final part, can I start to trust the Institute? This is a group that made a very minor appearance in Fallout 3. If you know what I'm talking about, you probably will not like the Institute. But it'll be more interesting to see it fleshed out more, to see more to it than just one representative who claimed to be from the Institute. Now, there is no rating for this episode since it is a What's Around the Corner episode. There's no way for me to rate it, but there is still a world-building task for the day. And it is, let me know if you are looking out for Fallout 4. Get in contact with me at Jeffrey W. Ingram on Twitter, or join my newsletter at garduel.com. There are many signups for it. Shoot me an email. Just reply to any of the emails you get back to me. I do actually read and respond to all of them that I can. I believe I've got to all of them. I could have missed one that I don't know. And if you think I missed one of yours, send it back and say, hey, what's up? you can't be so famous not to respond to your fans yet. And that is quite true. And if there's something besides Fallout 4 you're really looking forward to that's coming down the road, let me know that as well, too. I'm always interested in what people are looking out for. Sometimes it informs me on really cool things, too. Now, the real-world task of the day. Remember notes? If you've listened to my show, you've probably heard me talk about notes. Why don't you write a little love letter to your loved one? It'll be great. The tease for next Monday is Race to Culture, part 3 of my Building an Insect Race. And it's taking the specifics I have of the race and applying a basic culture to it. It won't be a fully thought out culture. You're not going to get every religious ceremony they have, but you'll get an idea of what they consider religion, what the basic belief structures are. That's what we'll be doing next Monday. And as always, make sure to go to gardul.com. That's GARDUL.com for the show notes. It'll be under podcasting, World Builders Anvil. That's a great place to get all of the information from the episode that you've just listened to and to see all the resources that we've talked about in this episode. Thanks for joining us this episode of the World Builders Anvil. Please be sure to rate and review us in iTunes, and please help get the word out to your friends about our show. And join me, Jeffrey W. Ingram at Gardul.com, to see the progress of my world and learn why I made the choices I did. And please contact me and let me know the topics you would love to hear in the future. Now strike while the myth rolls high.